Actually, carp. Huge carp.
Carp?
Huge carp.
No,
Look at him.
Pop our face.
That hopped up on
Look,
us?
right there.
Yeah. You know that one that hopped up on us?
Yeah. All right.
Hi.
Welcome to the, what's this one called?
Chaparral
Chaparral episode of Animal
Education
Podcast. Wow.
You need to remember the name
That was
better.
Wow.
You're old.
So, welcome to the Chaparral episode of Animal Education Podcast.
Hi.
That was much better. Okay. So, today we're going to talk about chaparrals. Not chaperones, chaparrals.
Do you know what those are?
Chaperones, yeah.
No, chaparral. So it's
Animals.
basically coastal shrubland habitat.
So it's a type of habitat.
Yes.
Not a type of animal.
No,
So
and
it's the animals that live in the coastal shrublands.
So according to my AP environmental science textbook, very reliable source.
Very reliable
no,
source.
it is actually.
Yes,
I, that sounds like being
Books,
sarcastic.
kids, books.
Yes. Basically, it's also called temperate shrubland. Okay.
Temperate.
Like kind of like our forests, or like like in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Not tropical, not cold.
Comfortable.
Yeah. So like this is the type of habitat you'd find like along Southern California, Central Chile, Southern Australia, Southwestern South Africa, and most importantly, it's often considered the Mediterranean climate.
So very attractive to, like, actors, the George Clooney's of the world.
Yeah, rich
It's
people.
basically what you described.
All of like Italy, a lot of Italy and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, we're Italian.
So I am temperate.
Yeah. Okay. So
animals that
I
live.
can
So all those areas across the globe.
I can show you
but
this.
similar.
Maybe you add it
Okay.
somehow. The red is the chaparral. So like the
Oh, okay.
Mediterranean, a little bit in Africa, Australia.
Australia.
We're not really gonna focus on the animals there, but there's a little bit in South America.
Okay.
And then there's a little bit in North America too.
Yeah, we'll.
Yeah, and then you can see this dome here.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
that's what chaparral
So let's
is.
take pictures of these and put them in the.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will cite the reference. It's an educational reference,
Yeah.
so it's reliable.
I used it
as
for
of current
school.
research, I
Yes.
guess. Yes.
So.
So animals that live in those regions. So this could be very diverse animals.
Yes.
Because it's more about a region
Yes.
than a particular type of animal. Okay.
There's one. So this is actually, we're gonna go over the animals I did in my recent Facebook posts.
Okay.
Which what I did was I built a zoo in Planet Zoo.
Okay.
You animals from the chaparral
Okay.
that I also have in my collection, the STK collection I have at home.
Right.
That's gonna be the world and like games and stuff I'm building as time goes on for the next lifetime. So that will be the animals we're focusing on. So the first one, which was the first Facebook post, guess what animal it's gonna be? Of all the animals that you can think of.
Camel.
We will cover a camel today, but instead we're going to start with a bird. I would like you to meet the California quail.
Nice hat.
Yes, this is a male. They come with a little display structure to impress
He just
the
has
females.
this little I'm awesome appendage.
Yeah, also
thing on
they
his
sound
head.
like this.
So they wouldn't live around here.
No.
Because that sounds like a call we similarly hear on here, but it would be a different bird.
You know what it's called, right? We just went over it.
The head adornment thing.
California quail.
Oh, quail. So it's a quail.
No, the first part.
California.
So guess where it's from?
Well, California, but I'm saying, do I
God.
hear quail around
No.
here that have a similar call?
We maybe a bobwhite, but they're kind of rare. They're
Okay.
pretty rare. Like if we have one, it's like a released one from like hunters or something.
Maybe this just sounds
Maybe
like
a
a typical
pheasant?
bird call. So
Yeah, I
maybe
mean-
that's just, pardon my old man brain.
Yeah.
See the gray? You just go with it.
So my dad and grandma got me these cool new books. This is Every Bird in the World.
Every bird in the world crammed into that book. We shrunk them all down.
Oh my god! So this is Link's nature books.
So again, books, people. If people are willing to commit to their
and look,
words.
this book has like a cool.
Oh, and there's a
guide
reference
thing.
guide here.
Yeah.
Wait, this bird, he's pretty active.
So I'm gonna try to find where I think the California quail would be.
So just by nature of the fact that he lives kind of in Southern California, in that area, makes him a chaparral.
Yes, that's the habitat he lives in.
Well,
or one of the habitats he can live in.
So are they referred to as, in any way, a classification of chaparral, or just the environment?
That's just the biome.
Okay, just the biome. Okay, I thought maybe they were referred to as chaparral animals.
No,
or something. Okay.
No, that's just like.
So it is just.
I mean,
the
you
biome.
could call it you can call a lion a savanna animal.
Oh well, there you go.
It's
so
not necessarily
colloquially though,
yes.
it wouldn't be used
There's
scientifically.
there's
or
no
anything.
scientific name for that.
Because he can leave. He can buy a bus ticket.
Yeah, chaparral
And go anywhere he wants.
Quails can probably also be found in similar nearby habitats like deserts and things like that.
Okay.
So here we have the California quail.
Okay.
Scientific name, Calipapla. I'm going to say it like Latin, so it's not going to sound right. Calipapla
Okay.
and Calipapla californica.
Oh well, there's the California.
So that is specifically the California quail. That's the species. So the first name, Calipapla, is the genus name, which includes related animals like the Gambel's quail, the elegant quail, and the scaled quail.
And so this is one you did in your
Facebook
post.
Yes.
So when we probably should back up and say, so when he talks about the Facebook posts under JJP Designs, on Facebook, which is actually random imaginationing on Facebook. So we'll put that here somewhere. But there's the Facebook, there's the Instagram, YouTube. So he's done a post on all these animals that live in the chaparral zone.
That I have.
And this was one of them.
And
so you can
Planet
actually
Zoo.
find more details about this also if you go follow his Facebook posts on this. So that's
and
what
then
he
you
keeps
see
referring
his
to.
other Facebook posts that are less important, but you can still see them.
So do lots of breeds of quail live there? Or
Yeah,
just,
about
okay.
all four in this genus can be found relatively in the same area.
Okay.
So I'd say this is the most widespread and the most famous, which is why there's a plush of it.
Okay.
The California quail.
And this is about size accurate?
No, it's bigger
No.
than that.
Oh, it's bigger
It's
than this.
small, but it's still bigger than
It's bigger than this. Okay.
They can be, their wingspan can be up to 10 inches, 10.6 inches.
Oh, okay. So
And,
almost as...
They can weigh up to 8.1 ounces.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually put 80.
And he has
ounces.
so he's got a little, we'll do a better image of this, but he's a little gold,
Yeah.
kind of brown, gold,
Also,
gray.
this is a male.
Oh, yeah, so he's got the little head
The
appendage
females
thing.
have a shorter head appendage.
Oh, they do have a crest.
but a very
Okay.
small one.
Okay,
And then they're more. There's not this black on the head.
okay,
There's not really any of the gold on the belly.
okay.
And then there's no black. Like they lose the blacks and the golds, but that's basically the same.
So male, top hat, gold chains.
Yes.
Female, little Kennedy's wife. She wore the little pillbox
No
hats.
idea what he's talking
Jacqueline Onassis, Jacqueline Kennedy, the little pillbox hat, and not the flashy gold chains.
So the other species of quail in this genus.
Okay.
So this one's pretty widespread, like southern Canada to northern Mexico, and all along the western coast of the U.S.
Oh, okay.
And even a bit into the Rockies and those cold deserts and stuff like that.
Okay. And do these nest in trees on the ground?
On the ground, because they
nest
live
on
in the
ground.
chaparral.
Well, that's what I'm at.
Yeah,
That's what I meant. So they don't have to go find a tree somewhere. Okay. So
Also, fun fact: they actually take care. So actually, they live in groups,
okay.
and they take care of the nest together. They all kind of lay the eggs in the same nest or in a couple nests, and then hatch the chicks, and then they all take care of all the chicks.
So they live in a generational household.
Yeah, so it's it takes a village style of living
Nice.
for the
See,
quails.
and that's kind of unusual for birds.
Yeah, birds tend to be a little more,
A little more alone. So this is the generational family model for avian species in chaparral environments. This is getting a little specific. This is like
this
a
is way too
Google
specific.
search.
So
A
the
Google
other
string.
quails in this genus also live around there. So the scaled quail lives in southern U.S., northern Mexico.
Okay.
But more like you can see, it doesn't really cross with the California quail. It's gonna live more in like the deserts, more
drier
east.
desert. And okay, so living in the deserts in Chaparral, and they like dig nests
No.
or
Yeah, probably. Maybe a little bit. They do take dust baths, actually.
Oh,
to,
okay.
like, repel parasites.
so lots of animals take dust baths, and I guess that would be kind of unusual. Birds usually like to keep nice and tidy and clean, but when the only thing you got is dust.
No, a decent amount of birds take dust baths.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming one's in dusty environments. Yeah. Okay.
The Gamble's quail, which is pretty similar in looks to the California quail,
Okay.
also lives in kind of that same area as the scaled quail.
Okay.
If not, maybe a little more to the to the Baja California Peninsula coast.
Okay.
And then on that coast specifically is the elegant quail.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so those are the 4 types of quail that
All
are
right.
in this genus. They're all least concerned, so no one's really in danger.
And do quail everywhere ground nesting?
Yes,
Like,
ground
is
nesting.
that's a trait of all quail?
Yeah,
no matter
because
where
quails
in
are
the world?
ground birds. Like, if you
Okay.
look at quail and their relatives, like partridges and bob whites and things like that, you can see they're all ground.
Wait, partridges. So the whole partridge in a pear tree, it was just up there because it was
Well,
Christmas?
I mean, they can go up there, yeah. Well,
they don't- but-
okay, that's his partridge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not tweaking. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, let me see.
Does that say partridge?
Partridge, yeah.
Yeah.
So partridges don't really nest in pear trees. It was just the holidays, and he felt like having a pear crumble.
Yeah.
Huh,
Well,
interesting.
maybe other species that live, because like I think more of these partridges live in like rainforests.
Oh,
on,
then
like,
they'd probably
islands.
be-
yeah.
okay.
But like this species lives in like chaparral and desert,
Okay.
so
Okay.
probably less trees.
But these are related to lots. Like what other kind of fowl, or are there more fowl birds
Partridges,
in here?
quails.
Are there more birds in here?
there's only one other bird, and it's not really closely related to that.
Okay. Okay.
Partridges, quails. Maybe you get towards like pheasants and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Nice.
So do you want?
Okay,
I
so-
know it's not in order, but do you want to do the other bird?
Yeah. Why don't we do the other bird since we're on
Let me.
birds?
Let me.
We got the birds. We picked the thing. Yeah, we're doing the thing.
All right. So this one.
This is our elephant porta animal.
Yeah, this is where we're gonna keep all the animals.
He's so adorable.
And the
Little
elephant.
elephant.
My grandma got it for free. Don't ask. It happens more often than you think.
Yeah, it just happens to her.
All right. So the next animal we're gonna have.
Oh, this is a vulture.
No.
No.
Nope. It's a California condor.
Oh, a condor.
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to get you a better picture of it because I don't know if you guys can see it. I didn't put up a second camera today because most of the animals were kind of big.
Actually, most of them are kind of small. There's just like a couple big ones, and Dad had bias. No, I'm joking.
Everything looks big when you're this tall.
Yeah. Wait. I got these books literally yesterday. They're very cool, but
Yeah, they're very nice. So what these are here? Let me put down the condor and the.
okay. Wait.
Bird here.
Condor 226.
So these are the Lynx nature books, and
is
all the mammals of the world, and all the birds of the world.
Yeah.
And they are. When were they? When were they published here? 2023, so they're pretty current.
Yeah. That's 2 years old.
Well, look, and you can there's downloads and stuff in here.
Yeah, or you could buy the $3,000 encyclopedia editions. Oh, 266. I did my math.
Wittgenstein. So anyway, they're organized really nicely. Really nice images.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in birds or mammals, these are really nice reference books.
All right.
So thank you, Grandma.
Yes. Thank you, Grandma.
I'm going to leave him over here. So he's over here. So California condor. So
Yes.
Chaparral again, probably found in that
Also,
southern
like,
area of California.
U.S. like California coast. But here's the thing. They are a critically endangered species. At one point, they were extinct in the wild.
Oh.
They are only in the wild because they have been rescued, bred, and reintroduced by humans.
So success story. I mean, major effing failure initially, but great comeback story.
Yes. Yes. At one point, there was only 22 members in the wild, and they were all captured for, taken in for breeding.
For breeding purposes.
Yes.
Now, are they still on the critically?
Yes,
Oh,
but
they're
there
still
are now,
okay.
as of May of 2024, there are 561 wild birds.
Wow.
With some in Southern California, one population in Utah, and another very small population in Mexico.
So, moral of the story, we can fix it.
Yes,
But we got to fix it now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's the moral of that story, because we almost missed the opportunity.
See, there's another
for this
big
one.
thing. So the California condor is one of the many reasons they were going down was disease, limited population. The bottleneck effect is actually what's happening where there's so little, the genetic variety is way down.
Okay.
Another thing is that they lived back in like the Ice Age with like the mammoths and stuff like that.
Okay.
And they probably scavenged mostly on megafauna.
Okay.
Like mammoths and stuff like
Which
that.
don't exist anymore.
Because they are literally like, they have a
Hey, we spent like,
9.8 foot wingspan.
I was going to say 10 feet. I was pretty close that time. I'm not
and
usually
they
that
can weigh
close.
26 pounds, which is pretty heavy.
26 pounds.
Yeah.
That's like, what's that seabird?
Albatross.
Albatross.
Yeah, no, they're pretty close. I mean, they're relative. The Andean condor is tied for the heaviest flying bird on the planet. So,
But they are scavengers.
yes.
Like, what did I say earlier?
Vultures.
Vultures.
Well, I mean, they are like they're
related
they're
to the
in
family of
vultures.
vultures.
They're
Okay.
really big, so I think they get called condors. But
Okay.
yeah,
And that's so little things about vultures. I assume we've covered this before,
Yeah.
but why is their head like this? And-
they have no feathers on their heads, so they can eat meat out of carcasses and not get it stuck in their feathers and stuff.
yeah, so that it doesn't rot and create disease and everything.
Yeah.
So they've kind of evolved.
But like
with
their
no-
guts are very disease resistant. They can process most diseases and just eat it and not get sick.
So is this one of those animals that we've kind of studied for how it resists disease? I know sometimes
I
when
think
animals
we've
have
been focusing
resistances-
on recovery for this one.
Okay,
I think
not
the-
so much the research part for
Yeah.
you. Because like naked mole rats can't get cancer, so I know we
Yes.
study that and that kind of thing.
Also, fun fact: recently, something really cool has happened with these guys.
Okay.
They've actually reproduced asexually.
Oh.
There have been females that have hatched eggs with chicks that did not breed.
And we know this for a fact.
Yes, because
Okay.
it was done in captivity. Like
In captivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the chicks didn't survive, but
Okay.
still,
And there's other species that have done that too. Like they will try and reproduce.
There's a species of lizard, the northern whiptail lizard, which is all female and reproduces asexually.
But there's other species that aren't all female. That when their populations get low, they will try to reproduce asexually and have that same problem.
There's a
Where
type
sometimes the young aren't viable.
Actually, here's the thing: there's actually a gecko species, the
Okay.
tokay gecko, I think, that is
Okay.
like they reproduce sexually in the native habitat.
Right.
But now that they've started to be invasive in like Florida and stuff, they reproduce asexually and they expand much faster. So they become more invasive.
So that's kind of unusual because normally
That's like an adaptation to being in, like almost being an invasive species.
Well, that's because normally it's when a species gets low on population. There's some animals that one of them will change gender.
Yeah,
And there's some that can suddenly produce asexually. This one is like, oh, we're doing great. Crank it up. Hit the
Yeah.
go button. That's unusual. I mean, as far as that
yeah,
development.
So that's also probably a new thing because like humans are introducing invasive species.
Oh, okay.
Probably not.
Okay.
Maybe not as much of a route evolution has seen before.
Okay. But so back to condor. So majestic bird. I mean, look
Yeah.
at that. Just and the markings on him. So that's what you would see from underneath. That's why, and from above. You know, kind of these little. He's got like I got right here. He's got this right here. But yeah, just hugely. And when you see like a vulture standing on a branch, they just look like a big, chunky bird.
Yeah.
And then they spread their wings. It is shocking how big the wings are on
Also,
some
their
vultures.
species is their species name, like scientific name, is
Yeah.
Gynogyps californicus. So again, California is the same
Gynogyps
species
californicus.
name. Yeah, but the genus name is different, so you know it's not related.
Sounds like
to
a
the
Greek
coin.
tragedy. Gynogyps californicus.
Yes. So those,
Coming to a stage
that's
near
the two
you.
birds I did for the Chaparral.
All right, nice.
So yeah, two very different birds: the California quail and the California condor.
Yeah, these are like neighbors.
Yeah.
They walk to the end of their plots and then morning Chuck, morning Bob, and then back to their thing. That's crazy.
So I want to take a quick break
that's a
from these
lesson in
really
diversity right
awesome
there.
books.
Okay.
because we're going to go over the one reptile I did.
Okay.
Guess what type of reptile we're doing?
Reptilian.
This is why I'm the animal guy on the podcast. Meet the Herman's tortoise.
Wow, they couldn't be getting smaller.
That's the smallest one. Calm down.
This is almost as little as my head.
So this. Also, that here's a picture of like a real one.
Oh, so kind of that domed back
Yes.
turtle. Again,
Tortoise. Yeah.
Domed back tortoise. So they're really round,
Well,
domed
technically,
back.
tortoises are turtles. It's kind of like square rectangles.
So all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. All
Yes.
tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises.
Yes.
Oh, I got it right.
Uh-huh.
I'm learning. So this actually might not be the best example because it's really just a round. It's much rounder.
Yes,
This is
it's
almost
much
flattened
rounder.
out.
Yeah.
But kind of gold on the back. Again, I'll make a bigger one here.
You'll use the actual photo.
Yeah, well, I'll use the actual photo. Gold markings on the back, and again in Chaparral. So I mean, obviously ground dwelling, but your tortoise as opposed to turtle because not as much water.
No water.
No water
They don't go
required.
in the water. Yeah. They
Kind of difference.
I mean,
between,
they live in the Chaparral, Dad.
right. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So that's why tortoise. So it's kind of like toad and frog.
Yes. Kind
Okay.
of like toad and frog.
Okay. So are all toads frogs, but not all frogs toads?
I think that might be different.
That's actually
that one
different.
might. I don't know that one as well, but I think
Okay.
that might be.
We'll
different.
check. We'll check that out. Put a footnote or something. They are not this little, although they're not huge, right?
No, they are
Like-
a astounding 11 inches long
Oh, okay.
at most.
Okay.
In the larger subspecies, because there's a couple subspecies of this.
Yeah.
And they can weigh 6.6 to 8.8 pounds.
Oh, okay. So not huge, but not like this.
No, not like that.
So about he'd probably
Yeah.
cover this book.
He'd fit on that book.
Yeah.
Because of their small size, they're actually kind of popular as pets.
Okay.
However, apparently they can get addicted to food pellets and get obese and grow too fast. So
Oh, and fill their shell,
no, because the shell's bone. The shell's part of them.
so it grows along with. They can't. They
Yes.
can't physically meatily. Outgrow
It's not like
their
an
shell.
insect. No,
Well, no, I know their shell grows, but I didn't know if they fat reserves could
no. It's just
outgrow their shell.
I don't. Not that I know of.
Okay, never heard of such a
So
thing.
don't if you
don't listen to me.
research animals before you adopt them.
Don't listen to me.
Don't listen to him.
Don't
And
listen to me.
before you get a pet, research it and make sure.
Yes, any
You
pet.
know how to any pet. I don't care if it's a little isopod or if it's a Great Dane. You got to do your research.
That's right. We had moss balls
I mean, okay,
that were ethically
those were plants.
harvested.
Okay, whatever. Yeah. So also, they can't eat legumes, tomatoes, and cabbage because it's toxic to them.
Cabbage?
Cabbage, just cabbage.
That's crazy. I've never heard of a turtley shell thing that can't eat cabbage. I never owned one.
They can eat like
I've owned
lettuce
rabbits
and stuff,
I've
but
owned,
not
but
cabbage.
Okay. And legumes.
Whatever those.
So
are.
your typical third grader.
What's a legume?
The type of nut.
Okay. Sorry, I'm smart, but I don't know everything. What's a legume?
That's what makes you smart.
But also that
you
this
know
thing.
that you don't know everything and you
Yeah.
admit it. That's intelligence, people. That you know that you don't know everything and you're willing to admit it and learn. Just file that away. It's right there. There you go. That was
I
helpful.
didn't mean for that to be the deep lesson of the episode, but alrighty. I was gonna do
Someday
the
we'll get to the difference between ignorance and stupidity.
That's gonna be a fun podcast. Probably gonna have to cut half of it out. Anyway,
So that's very cool.
also that's an important thing. They grow faster if you feed them too much. Because reptiles do that. Like
Oh.
for conservation, I know at like zoos for like the Blanding's turtle when they were doing that, they actually would feed them faster to a healthy extent, so they could grow up to be bigger. So when they release them, they don't get predated.
So tortoises and turtles, I'm assuming, because generally we think of them as very slow growing and living to old ages.
Yeah.
But in their youth, they grow
Yes,
as fast as they can given food
Yes.
availability.
But then
and
they
they tend to slow down.
kind of like humans. We
Well,
slow
that's
down,
true. That's true. Hey, now.
but they don't have to stop. Like they can
Right.
keep growing for
That's
eternity. Well, humans eventually we like max out.
Yeah. Size-wise, some of us around here.
Yeah.
Sometimes not. Like this one and all his friends who are 8'7".
Yeah.
Okay, so So that's tortoise guy. So we got a tortoise.
Also, they live in the Mediterranean of Europe, actually.
Oh, nice.
So this
so
is
another Italian.
Yes, an Italian tortoise. Yeah.
He's well dressed.
All right. So now we get to move on to the.
So we have a tortoise, a condor, and a
quail.
Well, I mean, look at that motley crew. Who would thunk?
Well, now we get to move on to some more interesting things because we have not only our first mammal, but our first marsupial.
Oh, so wait. So marsupials only encompasses like kangaroos, platypuses.
No, platypuses are monotremes because they can lay eggs.
So kangaroos.
There's actually a decent amount, and there's a lot you won't know of, but the famous ones are like kangaroos.
And isn't there like not koalas?
Yes,
koalas.
Uh-huh.
Those are the two that come to mind. But I know there's like a couple others.
I mean, wallabies and wallaroos are like kangaroos. You got like numbats are marsupial.
Oh no! How can I forget? Oh man, I forgot. Quantumly entangled numbat.
That's an inside joke. That's not science. Don't dig into that.
Okay, so I have a little numbat, and he has the exact same little numbat for school. He takes his numbat to school.
And then I think I have a third one at my desk at home.
At his desk at home. So they're all quantumly entangled, which means
that's what he says.
Whatever happens to one happens to the other. So if I go up and pat the little numbat on the head and say hi to James, then the one at school with him got pat on the head and told to say hi to James.
That's totally what happened, yes.
They're quantumly entangled. Okay. I'm just telling you, we have quantum entangled numbats.
Okay. So
we're going to look up numbats.
No, we're going to the actual marsupial.
Oh, the actual marsupial that lives in the chaparral.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I got to make sure. I think I know the species, but I should check real quick.
Okay, our scientist is going to be very
Are you ready?
Specific.
This is the southern hairy-nosed wombat.
Nice. So he's kind of like...
We have a little action figure here. So.
A little pudgy wombat, basically.
He's like a wombat.
He's exactly like a wombat.
Also, other marsupials include sugar gliders and possums.
Oh, yeah, sugar glider. That's the other one I was trying to think of.
And there's possums.
Possums, yeah. So you could have possums in your backyard.
Yeah, we have one species, the Virginia possum.
We've had possums living in our backyard on his swing set.
You can have whatever these are. Never heard of them. You have the marsupial mole. You have quills,
so it looks like the
Tasmanian devil.
It looks like a little shrunken teddy bear, sorta.
Bilbies.
So kind of a pudgy.
Here we go.
Kind of a pudgy. What was that thing you just the dangerous evil thing?
Tasmanian devil.
Well, the other no.
Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, pudgy Tasmanian devil or a pudgy. What's that really mean? Like honey badger.
That's not marsupial.
I know, but he looks kind of like a little pudgy.
Okay. So here is the southern hairy-nosed wombat. They are near threatened. They live in the southern chaparral and maybe grasslands around there of Australia.
Okay.
They're kind of unique because they actually have pink on their nose, which is why I guess this one was a
pink on his nose there. Mm-hmm. And how big are these guys?
For people who aren't in the U.S., that's 17.5 to 36 kilograms.
Okay.
But for all us English people, that's 42 to 71 pounds. Yes, they are chunky little guys.
I told you, pudgy. And how big though? How length?
30.4 to 36.8 inches. So
okay,
3
feet.
Yeah, 3 feet long.
Okay. So really bigger than.
About that size, probably.
Well,
actually.
that's not
maybe a little shorter,
and longer, maybe a little bit, but but shaped like this.
Yeah.
I mean, really, this is kind of what they're shaped like, without the big ears, and the tusks, and the trunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is the southern hairy-nosed wombat. There's also the northern hairy-nosed wombat, and then there's the more smaller.
And why is he called hairy-nosed? Just because he has whiskers?
Yeah. Also, they have a bigger nose than the common wombat, if I had to guess.
Can these little guys climb trees?
No, something? They burrow. We watched the video about this. So the descent strategy is they dig a burrow.
Okay.
And they go in head first. Okay. And they actually kind of have armor, tough keratin plating on their butt. So what they do...
buns of steel.
Literally. So if a dingo, let's say, tries to go in and dig, they'll run up and squish the head up against the top of the den. They'll almost, not only can they not bite it, but they could possibly break the skull of the animal attacking them with their butt.
This is a 1980s workout tape just aching to be made by like Jane Fonda or who was the
Steven
guy?
knows
Richard
the 80s,
or
I don't.
Richard Simmons. Wombat buns of steel.
Yeah, and despite this seemingly aggressive defense strategy, they eat like grasses and sedges, but they avoid woody plants. They don't like woody plants.
Okay. So do they like koalas and stuff just constantly?
They eat. Well, the koalas are different because they eat only eucalyptus leaves, which are toxic.
So they have to process that poison.
Yeah, but I don't think wombats deal with that. So
and they don't have like multi-tummies like cows or anything.
Not that I
grass and
know
foliage
of.
or anything.
Not that I know.
Okay.
I do not. I believe that might just be a cow.
There's a word for that. I don't know what that is. No, well, there's other animals that have multi. I thought anyway. Again, don't listen to me.
Also, because marsupials,
I'm just here to fill the chair.
They
so
have
the
a
stage is
pouch.
balanced.
They have a pouch.
Since they're marsupial.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Marsupials or another like lineage of mammals that were very widespread, but they got outcompeted in most places.
Okay.
But Australia was separate, so they were the ones that were there and survived and multiplied.
So marsupials, the baby's going. It is amazing to watch a kangaroo, Joey, go into its mom's pouch and come out because you look at the little head and
it's
you're
the
like,
size of a jelly bean.
But then when it grows up, it's still doing it. I mean, it's like Joey's are like, and they just disappear.
Also, the jelly beans have to do in the eastern gray, which we'll actually get to later.
Yeah.
They have to climb the equivalent of a 90-foot cliff to us.
Yeah, for the size.
And if they fall off, they die.
Yeah.
Imagine the second you're born, the millisecond you're born.
Yeah.
You have to climb a 90-foot cliff.
Because they're born outside the pouch, obviously.
So maybe you can see why they haven't been successful in other places.
Yeah.
Because that's not how.
And is it so in the pouch are the moms?
Yes.
The teats, the milk.
Yes.
The milk.
The nipples,
The milk maker things. Yeah.
They're called nipples.
The teats.
Yes, that also that one.
Teats.
Milk producerizers.
Almonds don't have teats.
Okay, we're gonna get sued now.
This is a whole.
We're being sued by the almond milk industry.
I challenge any of you to milk. I challenge any of you to even find the milking organ.
Okay. Anyway, let's not get canceled on this episode. We'll have other episodes.
We'll have another episode about that little dilemma.
Okay, that's not what I said. Oh, here's an interesting thing. They only breed if it rains enough because they live in the chaparral. If it doesn't rain enough, the rain won't trigger the females to ovulate and the testosterone they're releasing males. So, like, they are adapted. So, if it doesn't rain enough and there's not enough resources, they have an adaptation so they don't breed and not be able to raise their young.
Okay, so I just had like a Friends episode about these little guys go through my head. Like, the wife looks out the window and it's raining and just and the daddy wombat comes in and goes, "How you doing?" Because it's raining.
Okay, that's not what I meant. Also, so unfortunately,
that's a Friends episode. That's an AI Friends episode. Wait, so many TV series we could make.
Oh my god. Anyway, so they are near threatened, especially due to their sporadic mating. But fortunately, as of 2016, there are 1.3 million southern hairy-nosed wombats.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the northern hairy-nosed wombat is critically endangered.
So
they do need to be concerned.
Okay, so a serious observation. Like the rings in trees, you can tell age, but you can also tell how wet the season was.
By the number.
So can you tell by wombat population? No, I'm serious.
Probably, yeah.
How wet the seasons were by what the population
and
was.
the ages. Yeah, probably.
Look at that.
See? There's hope left for this.
Sometimes episodes of Friends come in handy. I'm just saying. But that's seriously, I bet that the populations of wombats are like rings in trees. And you can.
Also, another thing is that the good thing about the pouch is that. So, apparently, these guys are interested about their microbiome. We're talking about how koalas have to process the poison.
Yeah.
These guys' food is like grasses. It's not that good. So they have unique gut microbiome. And their pouch even has a unique microbiome to help the baby. Because realize, in a mammal like a human,
right,
they get all the stuff they need from inside the mom.
Right.
So they get from in the pouch in wombats. I know koalas, the babies actually eat the poop to get those
The nutrients.
Yeah, no, to get the good bacteria.
Oh, the bacteria.
And stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so we should explain because you talked about. So when a marsupial baby is born, it's like
It's a pinky. It's a little pink.
it's
There's no
little.
It's like
this-
an embryo. It hasn't
Yes.
developed as much as a placental.
Where we're
mammal.
used to thinking of that developing in a human,
and we're placental
to
mammals.
like basically it comes out looking like a little human and it's all its little parts and it's functional and
Yeah.
but this comes out like way early in that process.
Yeah.
Goes in the pouch.
Ignore that he's holding a tortoise.
Well, I'm just for size, just and then does all that in the pouch until it gets to the point where it can drink from the teats, and then it's kind of living its early life. Then it gets in and out of the pouch because that's for us that would be going back into the womb until it gets to the point where it can live on its own.
That's what this guy's
So that's why he was saying the little kangaroo could die because it's got to go from where it's delivered, the birth canal, and it's got to climb Mount Mom.
Yeah.
And all marsupials do that.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. It's weird that they haven't just developed the ability to birth them into the pouch. I mean, if you think about it, that would have made sense.
Okay, how are they supposed? Okay.
Well, I'm saying that. I mean, there's got to be a way.
Okay. So
I mean, I'm not a god or
so
nothing.
The
So I don't know.
genus is Lacihornius,
Okay.
and that Lacihornis latifrons is the southern, but Lacihornis kerfetti is the northern. So they
Okay.
have the same genus name but different species name because they're different species.
Okay. Cool. So he's very interesting. Marsupials are a whole thing.
Do you want to keep going with marsupials because we're on the topic?
Yeah, you got another one?
I have two more actually.
Oh, yeah, let's do
So
marsupials.
first up, so they're both kangaroos. I will say both of these marsupials are going to be kangaroos.
Okay.
And there are only considered two, like either 3 or 4 species of kangaroo. Some of them are wallaroos. So here's the thing. Wallabies are like the smaller ones.
Okay.
Kangaroos are the big ones.
The boxers.
And then in like the middle is wallaroos.
Now, is that a hybrid of a kangaroo and a wallaby?
No.
Or
It's just
totally
size.
different?
It's just size.
Just size.
But they're all
Okay.
different species.
Okay.
So one of them, the antilopine wallaroo,
Okay.
can also sometimes be called a kangaroo.
Okay.
It's like right on the edge. Kind of like your parrot is also a parakeet.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
a
yeah,
size
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
So it's
okay.
right on the edge.
Okay.
But first,
we have a monk parakeet.
which also can be called a monk parrot.
parrot.
Because he's just big enough that's kind of on the line.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But today, we're going to be going over the eastern gray kangaroo.
Oh, eastern gray kangaroo.
Yes.
Oh, and here's his little Joey. Her little Joey.
Yes, her little. This is a female
This
because
is
it has.
because it has the pouch.
Yeah, so eastern gray kangaroos, along with western gray kangaroos, are in the genus Macropus. And this is Macropus gigantis. And the western gray kangaroo is Macropus filiginosus. So this one is eastern Australia. Well, the western's kind of more like southern Australia.
Okay.
But yes, also this species can also be found in Tasmania a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, so a little bit in the chaparral. I think westerns are more in the chaparral, but the easterns are also found in
Are
the
the
chaparral.
females bigger than the males? No, males are bigger than the females.
Yes,
Males
that's
are
the
bigger
western,
than
but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Also, this one can also be found in like mountains and forests. So this one is not limited to the chaparral like a lot of the other animals we've kind of been looking at, which are somewhat limited. This one can be found even almost in like rainforests and stuff. So this is a pretty widespread kangaroo.
Okay. And
Yeah.
on highways in Australia, as I hear.
Yeah. So like this one can literally be found from Tasmania all the way up to like
So the whole
North.
eastern quarter.
of Australia. You
Of
can find
Australia.
eastern greys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They're least concerned in that they're doing just fine.
And yeah, so little Joey, by the time they get this size, they're still going in and out of the... I mean, when you could see the head like this, they're still going in and out of
They
the pouch.
do graze.
That's just shocking.
They are the grazers of Australia.
Okay.
Also, they kind of have a hierarchy in there because they live in groups.
Yeah.
So the individuals, but they don't have set territories. Like they just kind of live in groups that move around. They stay kind of in the middle or edges, depending. Wait, sorry. Let me just read this and try to get it all in my little head.
So when they graze, they kind of lean.
Okay.
They got to get
so like the males tend to stay more on the
quadrupedal.
outskirts of the group.
Okay.
But then, except the dominant male who'll be in with the females.
Yeah.
But then like breeding season, they all kind of move closer and start competing. Well,
So the males are kind of patrolling and
yeah,
protecting the whatever.
yeah, and
flock
staying
herd.
away from the male in the middle of all the
Oh,
females,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Because they will box and like compete.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't challenge a kangaroo to a boxing match.
Yeah, we
They'll
went
win.
over the climbing part. Also, these guys, they're not the biggest, but they're still big, as they can stand up to 6 feet and 7 inches tall. So taller than either of us. And they can weigh up to 152 pounds.
And the massive strength
of those
here
legs.
and here is just
Like, if they kicked you, it would break bones
Yeah.
and probably rupture some organs.
yeah. Yeah, just massive. And even in their tail.
Yeah, because they can kind of use that tail as like a balancing.
Yeah,
point.
a lever.
Yes. Also, they like to be out at dawn and dusk when they graze, which means they're crepuscular.
Okay.
Not nocturnal, diurnal. They like dawn and dusk, so crepuscular.
Oh, I gotcha. All right.
So, yeah.
So kind of like the witching hours, morning and evening.
So, are you ready for the most famous of the kangaroos?
The most famous kangaroo.
This is the red kangaroo.
Oh, yeah. This is like if you ask a kid to draw a kangaroo, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah, also for reference, this kangaroo and all the wallaroos are in this genus. The
Okay.
genus Ospharanter rufus, which
Okay.
rufus is red, is the red kangaroo.
yeah.
Also, the males are red, but the females... Actually, this is kind of inaccurate, actually, because the females are more grayish.
Oh.
The males are red.
Are red,
So this
okay.
toy is kind of not super accurate.
So this is like Lucille Ball.
Huh? I don't get it. If you
She's a
get...
TV star back in the day.
Okay, whatever. Yeah.
Red hair.
Okay. But yes, these guys live in like most of mainland Australia.
Like all of Australia.
And they can be, yes, they can be found in Chaparral, but they also are very common in like deserts and savanna and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
but
Nice.
these guys are big. So the females can be 44 to 88 pounds, so they're smaller. But the males can get up to 198 pounds, so almost 200 pounds.
Wow. And pretty much solid muscle. Pretty much. There are no beer-bellied kangaroo.
Also, these guys can live in groups of up to like 1,500.
Yeah, these like huge. I don't know if they
Yeah,
call them
huge.
herds, but huge.
Yeah, swarms. Call them swarms.
Swarms.
Yeah. The only things that really hunt them are dingoes, which it's kind of interesting. Humans did introduce dingoes like thousands of years ago.
Where'd they come from originally?
Like they're believed to be descended from like the dholes and other dogs from like Asia.
Oh,
But
I did
here's
not
the
know that.
thing: we drove all the megafauna here extinct.
Yeah.
So dingoes have kind of replaced them as the native top predator from like the marsupial lion. Which, if we ever get a figure of that, which we can 3D print one, that's one of the 3D
Okay.
prints we should buy.
Okay.
That's a really like the giant, like there used to be lizards way bigger than Komodo dragons on here, but we drove them all extinct. Is the current theory. We're over time we've been leaning more towards like humans did it. So the kangaroo. So now the dingoes kind of replace them. So the dingoes really fit in actually.
So they're kind of keeping the kangaroo populations in check.
Yes. So that's another thing. I've been learning about rewilding recently from a YouTube channel I saw.
Yeah.
I think Ecology Nerd is the
And Grant Folds talked to us
yes,
about that
but
on our
like
special
not
episode.
only
Yeah.
rewilding as in bringing the animals back, but like in India, there used to be cheetahs and hippos and hyenas.
Right.
They're actually reintroducing cheetahs right now.
Nice.
And that could help rebalance the nature there. And more megafauna means more diversity.
Okay.
Like yes, the habitats are okay right now, but if we bring back more megafauna. In South America, there's debates about bringing elephants in because there used to be elephants relatives down there.
Yeah.
In Florida, there's a horrific invasive species problems. But if you increase the Florida panthers, brought back the red wolves, which there used to be a black subspecies, but just bring red wolves. Or if you even brought jaguars, because they used to live there. If we brought jaguars back to Florida, it would help.
Kind of balance everything a
Yeah,
little better.
and because the jaguars would eat all the pythons that are invading.
Right.
Obviously, not every single one.
Right.
We should still help remove them, but it would be a big boon. Also, I know there might be some debate about putting jaguars in Florida.
Yeah, like they don't have enough things trying to eat tourists.
But think about the ecotourism if there's jaguars in the States.
Yeah.
Because they do, like, there's even some still in Arizona. They're supposed to be in the Southwest
yeah.
areas. Yeah.
So, with rewilding, we have a special episode. It's on our YouTube channel. I have to see. Maybe we get that put out on the...
I feel like that would be one you probably
Yeah,
have to
maybe
ask,
we'll pass that
you might
on
have to ask him about it.
to Greg and ask him if he can get it out on the TV
Or no,
station.
ask the Grant Folds. Like...
Oh, Grant Folds, he won't. No, he said we could distribute it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, perfect, yeah.
So Grant Folds, interesting guy. Go on, look up the Rhino Project.
Yeah.
And he asked if we would interview him on our podcast. So
which is crazy, but that blew
Which is crazy. It was so cool.
Yeah.
So we interviewed him. He's on our YouTube channel. I'll talk to this TV station and see if we can get it put out on the TV. But great program, doing a lot of rewilding.
One extra episode he put out by him? He chose one of our episodes to put, because you picked the cryptid episode and the whale episode, but you said he picked one. What episode did he pick?
I'd have to go look. I don't remember.
You keep saying that. You gotta remember.
We've got 3 or 4 episodes up, and
currently
hopefully this one.
Currently 3,
Yeah,
I believe,
and hopefully this
on
one
Fox
comes,
Valley
so,
TV. Yeah. I have a TV show.
So if you're seeing this on our YouTube channel, yeah, go check out. I'll put the thing on how you get Fox Valley TV and check out the TV station, because that is so cool. And thank you to them and to Greg.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was cool. Yeah.
So anyway, yes, rewilding, huge effort, particularly in Africa in certain areas. So very interesting topic to dive into and learn about.
It's kind of debated, but even the Mustangs out west.
Yeah.
Because we used to have horses, especially if we get the wolf populations up, they could work.
Yeah.
Even South America, same thing with the wild horses. Yeah. Now that one's a little delicate, and they can be problems.
Yeah.
But I think if we do it right and maintain and bring the predators back, I think there's actually a chance that having wild horses would work in South America. And I believe that all wild horses in Australia. I don't think they need them there.
Yeah.
So they should be removed. Yeah. Like another feral animal, which in Australia, which we might as well just go because we're right here.
Yeah.
This is the dromedary camel.
Dromedary camel.
Yes, they live in deserts.
So dromedaries have 1 hump.
Yes.
And Bactrian?
Yes.
Bactrian have 2.
Also, fun fact, there are domestic and wild Bactrian camels.
Okay.
The ones like at Brickfield Zoo look like domestic, I think. I'm not positive. But like the ones we saw at the wilds, you saw they were different at wilds.
Yeah.
Those were the wild Bactrian camels.
Okay.
However, I believe all dromedaries are somewhat domesticated.
Oh.
However, they still kind of fit into, like, in Africa, they're from there, so they don't really bother anyone.
And domesticated to the sense that
like dogs compared to wolves.
Well, yes, but the natural inhabitants of the natives isn't the word I'm looking for, but
you can use that.
The people who lived in the deserts for generations and generations learned to
so many rats
ride the camels, and the camels would know where to find water, or the camels would know where. So they learned from the camels, and then they were able to work with the camels and keep themselves alive too. There's not, what's the word?
Camel.
Anyway,
so 634 is where we're going. So kind of like the back of the book. Not that far back. Here we go. Oh.
Yeah, that's
the thing, because the Bactrian camel's the only wild camel.
Oh, so there's none of these that are technically wild anymore.
Even if they still kind of fit into their habitat, yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't even realize that until I did the Facebook post. So yeah.
Okay.
So they still all kind of wild, like this feral populations. Some that are okay, like in North America, like in like Middle East and stuff. Like yeah, they're kind of from around there, so that's okay. And there's no wild equivalent anymore, so they would fill in the best.
Well, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but in Australia they're invasive, and it's
now. But when you think of a camel, like again, if you ask a third grader to draw a camel, they're probably going to draw 1 hump, but really people would tend to ride. Well, no.
No, people ride the one.
Would ride this one more, so maybe that's why they would tend to draw the 1 hump, because that's the one they see.
Because that's
At like if you're gonna go ride a camel.
Because also this is like Africa, Middle East. Well, Bactrian is like just Asia.
Okay.
Like the only wild Bactrians are like Mongolia and stuff like that.
So are they like okay on kind of mountainous terrain and stuff?
I don't Well, the Bactrians, I think, but like the dromedaries, I don't know.
Dromedaries,
Because they have the wider feet for the sand.
Oh, for the sand.
And like
Okay.
eyelashes to block sandstorms.
So these single humpy guys, more sand.
More like tropical deserts.
Tropical
the Bactrians is more like cold deserts, where like it even snows cold deserts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Tibetan Plateau and stuff like that.
Okay. I
So like
gotcha.
kind of like we have them in the U.S. too. Like the rock, like the foothills of the Rockies. That's cold desert. It snows,
okay.
but there's not water. Desert just means not water.
Right.
Technically, Antarctica is a desert.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, technically. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's a cold, like a cold.
Well,
desert.
and if you think, I mean, the big thing about the desert is that animals have to adapt to living in 100 and some degree dry heat during the day, and then massive drops in temperature at night because there's nothing to retain the heat. Because normally the ground retains some heat and like evaporates it, during the evening, or water and land. There's nothing. The heat's just gone as soon as the reflective surface of the sand has no light hitting it. So that's one of the big problems in the desert that people don't think about. Not only having to deal with the heat, but dealing with the cold. But because there's no precipitation, typically, there's no rain, no snow. Of course, there's a bunch of water.
Yeah, and these guys are more up to. They have special lungs to lower breathing rates, so they don't dehydrate as fast.
Do they have,
They have
like
special kidneys that keep the water in. The hump is just fat. It's not water. It's just fat.
Yeah, it's nutrients.
But still, that's useful in the desert.
Yes. Now, did they have anything like their eyelids or nostrils or anything for the sand? That's kind of like in sandstorms. Anything?
Yeah, they have like eyelashes that are extra long to keep the sand out.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Anything nostrily breathing?
Not that. Oh, the lungs with the,
the lungs,
dehydration.
Okay.
Also, they can withstand more than 30% water loss.
Wow.
I don't remember the exact number. I want to say like 17%. It's probably lower than we're dead.
Yeah,
but they're 30%, and they're they're
doing
not
okay.
great, but they're okay.
And you can actually see, can't you? Like as they start using their fat reserves because they haven't been able to get water for a long time and build enough food or anything, their humps will kind of. If they're like fully nourished, will their humps stand up, or is that not?
I'm
a
not
sign
positive. I don't know, because I know the ones at the zoo sometimes do that, like the humps. But like they're fine.
Right, but that's what I'm asking. So that's
I'm
not a sign of health or not
I don't
health
know
or
that.
whatever. Okay.
Again, I don't know everything.
No. Well,
apparently
that
makes me
again,
smart.
That's.
But these guys can be like 5.9, 7.9 feet tall in males, 5.6 to 6.2 feet tall in females. Males can weigh 880 to 1,520 pounds. Females are 660 to 1,190 pounds.
I feel like the camels we've sat on were way taller than 6 feet.
That's to 5.9 to 7.9 feet tall. They can be
7.9.
Also, that's to shoulder. Most animals are measured to the shoulder.
Okay. Not to the
head
or
the humps. No.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. That's for most animals. That's how they're measured.
Okay.
So, like, imagine how much taller a llama would be if you measured up
it
to
its ear tips or something.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Even
So
dinosaurs.
we're the only ones that measured to the top of our heads.
Yes.
Oh. Well,
We're
then I'm
weird.
even shorter by animal.
Everyone
standards.
shouldered that shorter.
I know,
I said
but
shoulder.
I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like a, wow.
Okay.
You could barely see me.
So we have 2 North American animals and 2 African animals left.
Okay.
Which ones do you want to do first? North America or Africa?
Let's finish with North America. So let's do Africa first.
Okay.
We'll wrap up here at home.
So, since I'm on this page, we might as well stay on this page. This is a subspecies of plains zebra.
Zebra.
Specifically, though, we're going to be talking about a subspecies of plains zebra known as the Chapman zebra.
Chapman.
Which convenient is this one. You can just tell Equus quagga chapmani. So that's that third one is subspecies.
Okay.
All the zebras are Equus quagga. Yes, that includes the extinct quagga. It's just a species of zebra.
Okay.
But Equus quagga, and that one's Equus quagga. I know, big
So
surprise.
quagga's not in here
Because they're extinct. But this is Equus quagga champani, which is unique because you can see they kind of have like this double striping.
Yeah.
And they're kind of unique because unlike others, they tend to have stripes further down compared to like This compared to like this form of the zebra. Yeah.
So we'll have to put a picture of this, but they have like black, white, gray, white, black, white, gray, white,
which
black,
you can
white,
see
gray, white, black. Yeah.
maybe
a little
this,
bit in
but
some
not
of them,
really these other subs.
It's like, really pronounced.
Not the Bohemi subspecies, not the Selous subspecies, not the Crawshayi subspecies. That's the end scientific. They have more common names. Like this is Chapman zebra.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it is interesting. And now,
also this is a mini. Like it's not great,
they're bigger than us.
I use like that kind of weird striping to identify as a Chapman
and so
zebra.
a zebra is on its own. This camouflage
does nothing.
Kind of sucks.
Yes.
This camouflage functions in a herd.
Yes.
A herd of zebra because all the stripes just blend, and the lion can't tell where one animal starts and another animal stops.
Yes.
So it's just a big blur.
And that's
of lines.
called dazzle camouflage.
Dazzle.
Dazzle display, something like that.
Okay.
And we can cover this more in our camouflage podcast, which will
which
probably be.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be the next one. It might be the next one.
I think it should be the next
It's the next one, yeah.
Because we got
Maybe
some
we
really
should've done
good
this
stuff
one
for
last.
camouflage.
We messed up the ordering.
Well, no, this is good because it's a good
but
lead-in.
But then it should have been the last one.
Oh.
See, I'm smart.
So really, this camouflage, if you think about it, when he's with the herd, really, really is effective.
Yeah.
If he's off alone, 180 degrees out of phase, it's completely awful to look like this alone in the middle of the desert.
Also because, yes, they can run 35 miles an hour.
For a while.
But a lion can run 50, but the thing is, a lion can only run 50 for a little bit.
Right. So these guys can run longer.
Yes, but if you're by yourself and the lion sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
So you want
he's going to catch you.
Yeah. I mean, they can still kick the lion in the head, which could kill them, but still, again, like that's like the last resort. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah. So zebras tend not to wander off.
Yes.
There's no zebra mom wandering through
also,
Kmart
they live in
asking,
harems.
have you seen my child?
They live in harems with like a male and a couple females. But then these harems can all meet up to have tens of thousands herds. But it's made up
But
of
there's harems within the herd.
Yes, of like one male.
I gotcha.
And up 1 to 6 females, and then any babies.
So is it kind of same as with other animals when there's males born, they hit a certain age, and the dad kicks them out?
Yes.
Okay. But also the daughters have to leave because the dad's not going to breed with the daughters.
Yeah.
So he asks the daughters nicely to leave. He gives them a nice dowry, sets them up with a nice apartment or condo. And the boys, he's like, out.
Females stay with their harems, actually.
So do other young males?
I think eventually that male will die. I think is the or be replaced.
Or be replaced.
I think because of the male's never going to last long enough for that to be a problem.
Okay. So really, he just is like, it's okay, sweetie. My little princess.
Yes.
You can stay. Mom and I will, whatever you need. And with the boys, he's like, there's the door.
This is why I made sure I'm an only child. No, I'm joking. My parents are good. They wouldn't kick me out. Yeah.
So yeah, but what's unique about this camouflage, I think, well, I mean, it's true to all camouflage to some extent, but this camouflage particularly, if you leave the area where the camouflage is effective, basically just slather yourself in barbecue sauce because you're done. It's over. You're gonna be consumed.
And unfortunately, despite the fact that they're doing okay, may near threatened, their population has declined 25%.
Wow.
Over the while. And they're extinct in Levosa, which is a little country.
Are they hunted by?
I think it's more like bushmeat.
Oh.
Or also habitat loss, things like that.
Oh, okay.
But no, they don't have anything in particular. Maybe skins or something. But
okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
But bushmeat, so they're like the easy people living out in the scrub need some burgers.
And we're not talking about like native people that live off the land. We're talking about like poachers.
Yeah.
Or like some poverty that's causing them to have to something like that.
And where the dazzle bedazzles a lion, humans it's not as effective, shall we say.
So even the animals that are doing all right, we still need to conserve. Yeah. That's the thing with conservation.
All right. Who else we got in Africa?
We have this one will be very related to the Grant Fultz topic. This is a southern white rhinoceros.
Oh yeah, white rhino.
Which conveniently is on this page right here.
Yeah, see? There's a white rhino. You'll notice he's not white.
Yes. He's actually this specific subspecies. Is this the right subspecies? Can you name them? They're not naming them. Did I? Oh no, this is a subspecies. So, but yeah, still, like, you can see, like, the two subspecies here. This one, which is actually basically extinct at this point. I think there's literally, like, I don't even know what the northern white rhino. There's only 2 females of the northern white rhino left.
Okay.
There's no males. They're all dead. So they're functionally extinct, unfortunately. Yeah. There's actually some things where we might still have sperm or embryos. So there's a chance we can bring them back. More, and not like the direwolf thing, which I won't get into.
Yeah, that's.
But like we might.
We did an episode on that.
We might actually be able to bring them back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what we have here is the southern white.
Okay.
Also, you know if it's white or black because white has a flat nose, which is used to graze, while the blacks have a prehensile,
so kind of this
lip, which they use to pick leaves off of trees.
Okay, so that's the difference.
Yes.
Is grazing, so that wide, flat mouth that kind of chomps grass.
Also, they're kind of more white, but it's not.
Yeah. And then the prehensile, like a little teeny elephant, like the finger on the end of an elephant's trunk. You know that little fingery bit on the end of the trunk? Mm-hmm. It's like that is kind of what he has.
Yeah.
So pachyderm.
All right. Pachyderm means nothing. They're not like rhinos are not that related to elephants, not that related to hippos.
Okay.
It's kind of just a term we made up for animals that look similar.
Oh.
So pachyderm really does not.
It's not a classification.
It's not
or
a science
genus
term.
Or okay.
No.
Okay.
But it's just kind of like Brickfield's pachyderm house. It's just like, oh, this is where we pull the big mammals.
Okay. The big gray things.
Yeah. Well, right now at Brickfield Zoo, it's currently rhinos, maybe pygmy hippos, tapirs, which are kind of in
tapirs, yeah.
And then capybara and Galapagos tortoise. I don't think those count as pachyderm. So yeah, like pachyderm, they're moving away from pachyderm.
Big slow stuff.
We're moving away.
Although we say big slow stuff, don't piss one of these off. Because man, they will haul rear hiney part, man. And you are not going to win. Yeah. You will be hoof tread.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They have bad vision. Like really bad vision. Yeah. So their response to things they don't recognize is to charge.
Yeah,
them.
They just assume.
They don't really.
You're there to F with them.
Especially because the oxpeckers that will sit on them and eat insects.
Yeah.
They will make an alarm call if something gets too close and fly away.
Yeah.
And then the rhino will be like lock in time. Yeah.
Lock and charge, man. Yeah. Lock and charge. Oh, do they have hooves? No, they have like elephant-style feet.
Yeah.
They have elephant-style feet. So they're tiptoeing like elephants.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Elephants walk on their tiptoes. Did you know that? I only know that because of him.
Dinosaurs also kind of walk like that.
Dinosaurs
like carnivorous dinosaurs. A lot of dinosaurs. Yeah. But realize that they have so much padding. They're flat.
Yeah.
But technically the bone, the only part there is the toe.
Is the toe.
But they have so much like extra skin and fat down here that they have a pad.
There's some book with an elephant in a tutu. Mm-hmm. You have no idea how accurate that is. It's like an elephant in point shoes. They're constantly walking around in point shoes.
Also, so yes, they have horns. Unfortunately, a lot of places, they're actually cutting off the horns.
Yeah.
So they don't get poached.
Yeah.
But then again, the poachers, I read in the book from Grant Falls, that they'll still kill them so they don't waste their time tracking them next time.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
It's awful. Grant talked about that in the podcast.
It's really
that
awful.
it's just, and the way that they, watch
it's
the
horrible.
podcast. It's hard. It's hard.
Or read the book if you dare.
Yeah,
like, honestly,
get Grant Folds books.
Yes, but
really good.
Not for young kids.
Yeah, no,
absolutely not.
It's a very honest description of what.
Yeah, there's hope. There's good hope.
Yes,
but also like,
yeah,
it's not always fun. I mean, especially because the species is supposed to be able to live for like 50 years.
Yeah.
And that realize a longer lifespan. It takes 2 to 3 years for a female to reproduce.
Okay, wait. So
2 to 3. There's only a baby every 2 to 3 years.
Elephant tusks are ivory. Mm-hmm. This is hair.
Keratin, yeah.
Keratin,
which is the same as
hair and fingernails.
And this
isn't even ivory.
No,
it's keratin. It's
and
really
both,
hard hair.
And like keratin, it's like it's for medicine. What medicine? Yeah, here's the thing: Chinese medicine. They're not going to listen to us because they're not going to listen to a bunch of white people rolling up and being like, "Hey, stop it!
Don't do that."
But still, here's the thing: the Rhino Project.
Yeah,
they've been teaching the kids in Vietnam, and they're like, oh, and like when they fully explain to the kids in an education setting, the kids are like, oh, we don't, and the kids even thought, oh, you kill the rhinos? We thought
Yeah.
you just cut the horn off or something.
Yeah, it's like people that think here, how do you get chicken and beef? I mean,
That is one thing I will say. Deer antlers do come off. They slough
just
them off
slough
every
off.
year.
Exactly.
So if you see a guy with... I've been to zoos with like a roof of deer antlers. That's fine. They're probably...
At the zoo, or, they probably just...
Yes.
I mean, like, hunters will take them, obviously. But,
Yes.
But every year you can find deer antlers.
But
You don't have to kill the deer.
that's the exception. Antelope horns don't do that.
Right. Only
Pronghorn
antlers do
horns
that.
have like a sheath come off, but the horn's still there.
Yeah.
Rhinos don't do that. Elephants don't do
Oh,
that.
like the velvet. Elk and moose and stuff have the velvet that
Well, actually,
sloughs off.
no. Pronghorn are weird because they're like
Okay.
their own thing. They have like a horn sheath that comes off.
Oh, okay.
But they're-
a hard.
Yes.
A hard sheath.
But they're
Yeah.
pronghorn are weird. One day we'll go over pronghorn. They're weird.
Okay.
Yeah, pronghorn are weird. They're
Okay.
also they're like my favorite animal. But they're weird.
They are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of difference. Horns, tusks, antlers. There's all... That could be a whole episode.
And then like the giraffes have like those little tiny bumps
Oh,
on
yeah.
their heads. They have a special name. I don't remember what they are.
But that could be a whole episode about that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Okay. All right. So who's next?
More content.
More
All
content.
right, so
More
then
content.
The last two, we're gonna go to North America. We'll stick with herbivores, and we'll do the largest North American mammal, land mammal, the American bison.
Bison, which is different than buffalo.
We call them buffalo, but they're not buffalo. They're bison are their own thing.
Yeah.
So buffalo can be quite large. 6 feet 7 inches tall at the shoulder, 11 feet 6 inches long.
That's buffalo.
No, bison.
Bison.
They can weigh 880 to 2,800 pounds.
And if
that's
you-
over a ton.
And there are places you can see herds that are being restored,
Yes.
particularly here in Illinois, Medowin,
Yes.
Fermi. So there are areas where we're trying to restore them because they did amazing things for our landscape.
Yes.
Just them trolloping around helped keep the soil.
But they were so common when they would shoot them from trains for fun.
Train going through and just boom, 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 and pick them off, and
you
then just
know
leave
how
them.
many there were?
Oh, it was like millions.
Look at this. That's a pile of skulls.
Just the skulls.
Just the skulls. And you can see there's a guy up there.
Yeah.
And there's a guy down there.
Yeah.
And they were great. They use that for fertilizer in Michigan. It's horrible. Like there were millions, and now it's like there's maybe a few thousand left.
Yeah.
But we're concerned that because like they're important.
Yeah.
They're one of our last megafauna. We used to have, and there's also maybe reintroduction talks, but reintroduction of like animals is really complicated. You can't just do it.
Yeah, you can't
But
just drop them
maybe
there, yeah.
even things like elephants to replace the mammoths and stuff like that. So-
Medowin, if you go out to Medowin, here, Route 53 in Illinois, south of Joliet, down there, up by the racetrack and south of that, there's a station down there. You can learn about it. You can maybe even see them.
Maybe, but
they
they like
wander.
to, and they like to stay away from the human areas.
Yeah, but you can learn about kind of what they're doing to restore them and the history and all that. It's really interesting and what they're trying to do because our plains used to be just covered, and they were a huge part.
Also,
of
we
our
should have
ecosystem.
prairie and not because these guys are mostly prairie. Yes, they're in chaparrals, which is why they're here.
Right.
But they're mainly a prairie species.
Yeah.
And that's what they're like. The conservation's about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, but they're big, and certain time of the year, of course, you'll see the little babies.
Yeah.
Which are just like so adorable. These big old beasts, and then these little babies just trolloping around like they're 3 years old, getting in trouble. Mm-hmm. So that's those guys.
And the last creature. Guess what the last creature is? It's from North America. That's the one hint you get.
Roadrunner.
Nope. It's a mammal.
Oh, I don't know.
Are you ready? This is the East Mexican black bear.
Black bear.
It's a subspecies. There's a lot of subspecies of black bear.
Yeah.
Subspecies are complicated. They all can breed with each other. It's more of like a certain population that's established itself. And some can be quite unique. There's a population of black bears that are almost bluish. There's now it's kind of more of a new phenomenon. There's kind of like white black bears in the redwoods, so like in like British Columbia. So like it's a little more complicated than it's not, and sometimes they get reclassified all the time. Right there, they get reclassified. See, there's like white morphs and brown.
Yeah,
they get reclassified. The wolves just had a major from like 20 to 6 in North America. Subspecies, like it's always up for debate.
Yeah,
but yeah. So today we'll talk about the black bear. This one we'll call specifically Ursus americanus ermicus. East
Okay.
Mexican black bear. So, like, Eastern Mexico. I know, crazy, right, guys? So, yeah. Black bears. These are the smaller ones. They climb up trees and things like that. They're
Okay.
more herbivorous. They still eat meat, the omnivores. More herbivorous.
Yeah.
This is the one that you're supposed to try to scare away in the woods. Because
Okay.
they're smaller. I mean, don't go and pet a black bear.
Don't go find one to try and scare it. But
Yeah, but if you ever run into one, the advice is to scare it. While brown bears, it's to play dead. Because they're big and they'll just charge you down. They don't care.
And they can climb trees, so that's not a good defense
Yeah.
tactic to hide in a tree.
Yeah.
At a minimum, they'll outweight you. Mm-hmm. They're very patient. You know, a bear in the woods only has one other thing to do, as the jokes goes.
Yeah, and these guys live in places like Big Bend National Park and stuff like that, the East
nice.
Mexican black bear. Nice. So they're more desert and chaparral. So they're compared to, like, you know, the ones that live up north in, like, the temperate rainforests and stuff like that.
Nice. And up in Canada.
Yeah, that's like other subspecies. Yeah, we were talking
okay.
about. Yeah, that could be like even the glacier bear, which are like bluish bears that even like living near glaciers or like almost like cliff areas. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Nice.
So, yeah.
This is not a good visual representation of
He's
the
cute,
exact
though.
bear, but he is adorable.
He is. So that's just a small subsection of animals that can be found in the chaparral.
But look at the diversity, though.
And this is.
I mean,
there's even more in my collection that aren't in Planet Zoo that we can go over another day. There's I have insects and snakes and stuff like that.
just how diverse.
And this is mainly mammals.
Yeah.
And a couple birds and a single reptile. And there's a lot more reptiles and insects and birds down there. Roadrunners could even be found.
When you say, life finds a way, I mean, look at the diversity of animal types and
let me go to
habitat, that all live in a similar habitat, and how they've each adapted so differently to that. That's just shocking to me. Anyway.
Wait, I want
my little brain packed in this little teeny head.
No, you're right. So I want to go to my list of everything real quick.
Okay.
And do. Actually, wait, no. This. Let me filter, custom sort by subhabitat.
Oh, he just killed somebody. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we also got grasshoppers, turtles.
Oh yeah, insects,
beetles, hedgehogs, bees, jackrabbits.
Insects you could probably go on for days.
Spitting cobras, gazelles, butterflies, budgeries, wallabies, rattlesnakes.
Well, we say
lizards.
We always say
snail. I have a snail I count as shell.
Oh, see, I would think snails would need more moisture, but
depends on. This is specifically the brown garden snail.
But
which could also be in a garden.
Well, yeah. We talk about that insects outnumber every other species on the planet by a trillion or two or something.
Okay, you see this book, you would need
multiple books.
Honestly, for insects, you might need an encyclopedia set.
Yeah,
I don't even think that would work. That might not be enough.
But how important those insects are to all of these creatures. Yeah, because those insects keep the soil fertile and loose.
They eat the poo.
They recycle the waste and put the nutrients back. I mean, so they're like the almost like your organs. All the stuff that our organs do for us, the insects do for the earth in order to keep the life on Earth. Is that a pretty good? Is that okay? They are the organs of Earth. They process the waste.
No, yeah. Sorry, I was kind of I spaced out for a second. Yes.
Yeah, they're just, and that there could be a whole other podcast just on insects and how they impact. Without the insects, this doesn't happen.
Yeah,
effectively.
And we're talking about the megafauna. We want to reintroduce megafauna because you want the top and the bottom good, and they support the middle. Because you take out the top. And then, let's say you take out wolves from Yellowstone. Yeah. The elk graze too much, kill all the plants, and then
that impacts
the insects.
Not having pats impacts the
and
insects.
Then, without wolves, the coyotes and foxes go up and eat all the small mammals.
Right.
And then you bring the wolves back, that all fixes. I know there's some debate about this, but I'm going to say it because it kind of makes sense, and even if it's wrong, I don't care. There's even a theory that, so the wolves eat the elk, the elk move away from the rivers.
Right.
The trees grow in the rivers, on the banks. That changed how the rivers flow.
Rivers flow, yeah.
I know. I think recently they've been starting to say, well, actually, I don't care. It's a good lesson anyway.
Everything has an impact. Yeah.
Yeah, everything has an impact. Maybe it's not as big. Maybe it's not exactly like that.
Well,
but
the impact that the smallest insect has.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's our podcast
for Chaparral.
on the Chaparral.
And yeah, just animals you can find in Planet Zoo. So play Planet Zoo. It's a fun game.
Yeah.
You might have to buy mods or get deals, but install mods or buy DLC for some of these. But I approve of it.
All right, guys.
Not sponsored, but it's cool.
Not sponsored video. Pino's out.